For me, this forest with all these trees, it makes me feel like I'm a tiny little human who's on some piece of some giant person's skin, and these are all like hair follicles that have fallen or are growing out of his skin. And as a 20-year-old, to start to think about being a tiny person on someone's giant's skin, I mean, that's my imagination at work, and it's giving me a chance to take a deep breath from school and these other pressures that we feel.
Nature is where I go to get healed. That's why we moved up here, really, to get healed.
When I'm in nature, I definitely feel, you could call it spiritual or some very personal connection to feeling grounded in a place. Whenever I need to kind of regain my sense of self or calm down, clear my head, I go outside. Whether I'm just sitting in a tree and journaling, or if I'm going skiing and skiing through the trees and down the slope, just being in that natural setting kind of gets me grounded.
So I kind of have two conflicting perceptions. One is kind of something that I've always had with me, in that, like, you know, nature is this place that you can escape to, and that you can, this, like, kind of fantastic, like, place where you can go and you can relax and you can kind of escape from all of the, you know, trivial things of, like, everyday life. And then kind of on the flip side of that, there's the idea that nature is this thing that's all around you all the time, and so that no matter where you are, you're always interacting with it, even if you're in the middle of a city or you're building, or you're in a community, or wherever you are, you're always interacting with it.
It's quiet, and we chose a place where there is no ambient light at night, and where there is almost no sound except for what's outdoors. And there is something about that that grounds me and enables me to be quiet.
It's just somewhere nice to be in, and you just feel like whatever your mood is, whatever you want to make your mood into, that's what's going to happen in nature. It doesn't matter whether that's like a spot on the woods next to Ridgeline, or whether that's like the middle of a lake in the Berkshires, or the middle of the Pacific Ocean. It's just there, which is nice. It's not trying to force anything onto you. The M&M forest was my first really great interaction with nature. My dad, he used to take us to Gedney Park, and we'd walk around, but he would go, and like 30 minutes before we went, he would put M&Ms out in the forest and tell us that this was the M&M forest, and that all of these trees and all of these plants could grow M&Ms. And I just remember running around throughout this forest, just finding so many M&Ms and eating them, and truly believing that, you know, I was eating these plants that were making my favorite candy. And I think that's definitely my first memory of nature, and probably where I started my like pretty serious connection with nature.
This one day, two of my friends and I were on a walk here at Middlebury, and we just started walking all around the campus, and it was one of those first spring days here in Vermont, and we were walking and enjoying ourselves and thinking and talking, and we came across like a little puddle of mud, and then like within 10 minutes we had all our clothes off and we were rolling in this mud. And then one of us looked at our arms and realized that there were kind of bugs that were like drawn to the mud. so then we were like, oh no, we gotta get this off of us. And we just started doing this like dance in the wilderness and laughing, and really like we were in it.
My parents took me out of school for like half a week, and then we stayed over spring break, and we went down to Patagonia in southern Chile, the Icing Glacier region. And we got on this track that there had maybe been 50 people that ever walked it, and it was like super rugged. My brother was 10, and like he was like struggling, but like it was like a 72-mile hike, and just totally untouched, and it was just absolutely incredible.
You know, it's just fun to see how the river changes at different times of year. So, I don't know, it's quiet. Like we follow the road, but there's only a few spots where you can hear the traffic. Rarely run into people.
When I was 8 years old, we went on this trip to the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge in Alaska, and we were on a 2-week rafting trip in pretty much the middle of nowhere. We took these bush planes in, and I just have this vivid memory of this one hike we did where we climbed up this mountain, and we get to the top, and I look out, and it's just mountain after mountain after mountain, and they're all no trees, just all tundra covered. And I was just like, does this go on forever? Like, it just seemed so, I can't even, so real and so like limitless, and I just wanted to walk. I just wanted to take off and just go and see how far it went, and in hopes that it would like never end.
One of them would probably be at the old house we used to live in. It was a split family house, so we lived on the second floor of the house, and someone else lived on the first. And our backyard opened up onto this kind of marsh swampland. You couldn't really walk through it, but there were a few pine trees back there. And I don't really know what was back there to this day, because I never really explored it. But I remember just looking out and seeing the backyard end, but then seeing something else beyond it. Kind of just being a little comforted by that feeling. You don't have to go back there and explore, but it was always there.
I remember I was about 16 years old, and I would be kind of taking these leaps, just out and then landing down, and then another leap out and landing down. And I had this experience of this sort of simultaneously being aware of being a tiny little piece of a huge universe and having no significance, but at the same time being part of that huge universe, and in that sense feeling sort of, very connected to it all.
I went to camp a couple of times, and the first time I went, it was on the Missouri River, and it was, the water was really low that year, and we were hiking to the river to swim, and these people came running back towards us, and the water moccasins had hatched, and a kid actually died. They were in the river. So that was a pretty powerful experience. I'm not afraid of snakes, but it's a wonder I'm not, because that was really scary to me. So I think that's part of what happens as well, is you have frightening things happen in nature. Yeah. But it's all raising the emotional tone somehow.
As an environmental policy major, I've definitely run into times where trying to tackle all of these environmental problems can be really daunting and really disillusioning. You think about climate change and how vast that is, and it's easy to fall back and think, what can one person do? Or you see all these wonderful activist groups like 350.org run against all of the powerful lobbies of fossil fuel companies, and you get really disillusioned at times. And so I think having a personal connection to nature helps you work through that, because even when you get knocked back down, you can just come out here, sit by a waterfall, and be inspired again that this is worth fighting for, and you're reminded why you care. So I think that's how my personal connection helps me stay motivated.
Patrick Freeman. Do another one. This sucked. It's not my A game.
What's your name?
Patrick. I'm Patrick Freeman.
My name is Jack Kirby Miller.
I am Natalie!
My name is Kate Eisman. One more time.
Who are you in town, basically?
Who am I? I'm Michael Seligman. I should look
Yeah,
at
you should look at me.
My name's Lance Waterman, and I was born in Middlebury on a Thursday in 1970.
My name is Cindy Seligman, and I'm here because we wanted to live in a peaceful, healing place.
You tell me where we are. I have no idea.
Perfect.